Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Beth and Rip's Yellowstone spinoff confirms Taylor Sheridan cannot escape Kevin Costner's legacy. Yellowstone's upcoming Beth and Rip spinoff confirms that Taylor Sheridan can't shake Kevin Costner's legacy as John Dutton, i.e. Paramount Network's hit neo-western wrapped up its run with a show-changing decision for the Dutton kids to save the ranch from developers. With John Iui dead, Beth and Case scrambled to ensure that their dad's dream of keeping it intact remained, and the solution was essentially giving the land back to the Broken Rock tribe. It's difficult to imagine if John Iui had approved of this if he was still around, but it was the best outcome given the circumstances. The Yellowstone finale effectively wraps up the Duttons' collective story in the land that they occupied for 7 generations. However, the franchise will live with several spin-offs coming. Sheridan's universe already has an ongoing prequel with 1923, but his storytelling will continue in modern times with The Madison, a spin-off led by Michelle Pfeiffer, and another show spearheaded by Cole Hauser and Kelly Reilly. Currently untitled, Beth and Rip's spin-off story remains unclear, but its existence confirms that Sheridan can't escape Costner, even after John Iui met his end in a show that is now finished. As fan favorites, Beth and Rip's story was heavily focused on in the main show. Yellowstone tackled their love story extensively, although since the flagship was still an ensemble, there are bits and pieces of their history that remain unexplored. Both as a couple and individually, Beth and Rip are very interesting, hence why it made sense that the franchise's next offshoot will front both of them. That being said, it isn't lost that what's being billed as a spin-off is essentially just Yellowstone Season 6, especially given how prominent the characters were in the original series. The ending of Yellowstone proves that although it is able to continue past his exit, Kevin Costner is still the core of the Taylor Sheridan show. This is actually a point of contention for the upcoming endeavor right now. Yellowstone's Beth and Rip spinoff is potentially facing legal issues with regard to streaming rights. Sheridan and his creative team need to prove that the offshoot isn't simply a continuation of the mothership. Somehow, it's a blessing, since it forces the screenwriter to come up with new takes for the said characters. Regardless of how Sheridan deals with this issue, however, Beth and Rip's offshoot is the closest thing that viewers will ever have to Yellowstone Season 6. Beyond being interesting as characters, it's also worth noting that Beth and Rip are John Iui's best successors. Case never really wanted to have anything to do with the ranch and had a contentious relationship with his dad. This doesn't mean that he didn't love him, he did. However, he was too different from him. Jamie, on the other hand, was so desperate for John Iui's approval that he became resentful when he continued to fail to get it. Yellowstone ends with a definitive send-off to Jamie Dutton, but after 5 seasons, it's a less than satisfying way as a swan song for the character. Meanwhile, Beth was a daddy's girl through and through. Granted that she didn't agree with everything he wanted to do, but at the end of the day, she was loyal to him. The same can be said about Rip, who wasn't related to him by blood, but was arguably the son he always wanted. Because of what John Iui did for him, Beth's husband was a committed ally to the Dutton family patriarch. In fact, it would be difficult to craft Beth and Rip's future without acknowledging the influence John Iui had on them. Together, Beth and Rip are the best stalwarts of John Iui's legacy in the Yellowstone franchise. Whether that's by preserving his impact or by keeping his defining traits alive in the franchise. Seeing their story continue via their own spin-offs is the best way to highlight Costner's impact on the show. In fact, it would be difficult to craft Beth and Rip's future without acknowledging the influence John Iui had on them. Because of the way Costner exited Yellowstone, the chances of him returning to the franchise are very slim to none. Sheridan had to be creative in the final episodes of the main show to be able to properly send John Iui off, even when the narrative revealed that he was killed early on. Admittedly, the new show decides to use previously unseen footage of John Iwe via flashbacks or visions. Perhaps it can also tap a body double for it. However, it's highly unlikely that Costner will ever reprise his role again in the neo-Western series. Yellowstone stars Kevin Costner and centers on his character John Dutton. Dutton and his family live on a cattle ranch just a few hours away from Yellowstone National Park. The announcement of a Yellowstone spinoff centered on the beloved characters Beth Dutton and Rip Wheeler has sent ripples through the entertainment world, once again affirming Taylor Sheridan's deep entanglement with Kevin Costner's legacy. As the Yellowstone universe expands, one truth becomes increasingly clear. Sheridan's creative trajectory remains inextricably tied to the shadow of Costner's John Dutton, both as a character and a symbolic anchor of the franchise. The indelible mark of Kevin Costner. To understand the implications of a Beth and Rip spinoff, one must first recognize the pivotal role Kevin Costner has played in establishing Yellowstone as a cultural phenomenon. Costner's John Dutton isn't just a patriarch, he's a symbol of a rugged, principled resistance to modernity. The character's ethos bleeds into every storyline, shaping the moral and thematic framework of the series. Even when the focus shifts to other characters, John's presence looms large, serving as the standard against which all actions are measured. Taylor Sheridan has crafted a sprawling narrative that explores the clash of tradition and progress, loyalty and betrayal, love and vengeance, themes epitomized by John Dutton. As much as Yellowstone is an ensemble drama, it is Costner's portrayal of John that provides its gravitational center. By branching into a Beth and Rip-centric storyline, Sheridan is not escaping this dynamic, but rather doubling down on it. Beth and Rip, extensions of John's legacy. Beth Dutton, Kelly Riley, and Rip Wheeler, Cole Hauser, are arguably the heart of Yellowstone's emotional narrative. Beth's fierce loyalty to her father and Rip's unwavering dedication to the Dutton family make them natural extensions of John's character. Their tumultuous love story is as much about their individual identities as it is about their shared commitment to John's vision for the Yellowstone Ranch. A spinoff focusing on Beth and Rip doesn't signal a departure from John's legacy, but rather an exploration of its ramifications. Beth's unrelenting ferocity and Rip's stoic resilience are qualities molded by John's influence. Their decisions, conflicts, and triumphs will inevitably reflect the lessons and values imparted by their patriarch. Sheridan may move the narrative spotlight, but the core ethos of Yellowstone, as personified by Costner, remains intact. The challenge of independence. For Taylor Sheridan, the Beth and Rip spinoff represents both an opportunity and a challenge. On one hand, it allows him to delve deeper into two of the most compelling characters he has created, exploring their dynamics in new and intriguing ways. On the other hand, it raises the question of whether the Yellowstone universe can truly stand apart from Kevin Costner's John Dutton. Costner's departure from the original series, amid reported creative differences and scheduling conflicts, has already stirred speculation about Yellowstone's future. While the Beth and Rip spinoff might appear to be a step toward diversification, it's hard to ignore how deeply rooted these characters are in the world John Dutton built. Sheridan's creative vision may expand, but the foundation of that vision remains undeniably tied to Costner's portrayal of John. The weight of audience expectations. Another factor that underscores Sheridan's reliance on Costner's legacy is audience expectation. Yellowstone fans have embraced the show not only for its gripping storytelling, but also for the mythic aura surrounding John Dutton. Viewers see Beth and Rip as extensions of that mythology, characters who embody the spirit of the Yellowstone Ranch and its uncompromising values. As such, a Beth and Rip spinoff must navigate the delicate balance of honoring its roots while carving out its own identity. fans will undoubtedly expect the new series to retain the essence of Yellowstone, a task made more challenging without Costner's John as a guiding force. Sheridan's ability to meet these expectations will determine whether the spinoff thrives or falters. Exploring new frontiers. Despite these challenges, a Beth and Rip spinoff offers exciting possibilities. By focusing on these characters, Sheridan can explore themes and storylines that may have been constrained within the broader ensemble framework of Yellowstone. Beth's sharp wit, ruthless determination, and deep-seated vulnerabilities provide a rich tapestry for character-driven storytelling. Similarly, Rip's complex moral code and loyalty to the Duttons offer fertile ground for exploring the nuances of loyalty, love, and sacrifice. The spin-off also presents an opportunity to shift the narrative focus away from the Yellowstone Ranch itself. Whether it's a deeper dive into Beth and Rip's past or a look at their future beyond the ranch, the series could expand the Yellowstone universe in new and unexpected ways. However, even in these explorations, the shadow of John Dutton is unlikely to dissipate entirely.